Okay, so this is a basic rhythm lesson. So you'll see on the very top it says 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and count. What that means is with most music, I would say, 65% of music or so, that's a guesstimate. But 60 or 65% of music, you simply just count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, we're going to get into that more later, but it has to do with when you tap your foot. Whenever you see somebody tap their foot, whether they know it or not, what they're really doing is keeping the beat. And when your foot hits the floor and you hear a noise, that's the number one. When your foot's in the air, about to start to go back down towards the floor, that's the apex of the arch of your foot, right? Or the peak of your foot. That's the and. So when your foot hits the floor and you hear a noise, right? That's the one. Then when your foot's in the air, it's the and you hear the next noise when your foot hits the floor. That's the two. The next, when your foot's in the air again, is the and. Every time you hear the noise of your foot hitting the floor, that's either 1, 2, 3, or 4. And the and is when the foot's in the air, just about to go back down again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, then below that it says under under 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and count, it says 5 note durations. So all that means is we have 5 lengths of notes that we can play. We have a whole note, which is held for the whole count of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. A half note, which is number 2, which is just held for 1 and 2 and. Then we have a quarter note, which is just held for 1 and. We have an 8th note, which is just held for 1. And we have a 16th note, which is held really quick. It's really fast. Let me give you an example. I'll go over to the piano here. Okay. I have just enough light, I think, just enough light. So I'm just going to play a D. And for maybe you know nothing about piano, you don't need to know anything about piano, but every note has a D, whether it's guitar, ukulele, or piano. I'm going to play D. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it for a whole note. That would be for this long. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so as soon as I'm done counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, I pull my finger off. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's a whole note. That's how long you hold a whole note. The second length of duration note value is we're going to do a half note. So you hold it for half as long as that. Only for 1 and 2 and. Okay, that's half of a whole note. So you hold it for half of that. 1 and 2 and. A quarter note is held for just only 1 and. That would be this long. 1 and. Okay. An 8th note would be held for just the 1, not the and. So 1. Yeah, that's a little short. 1. Okay. And a 16 notes twice as fast as you can do it, basically. Okay. So now there are 30-second notes, but they're rare. If you're listening to something really fast, Metallica or Beethoven or, I don't know, Eddie Van Halen. So those will have 30-second notes. For our class, there is 5 note durations. Whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, 8 notes, and 16 notes. So a whole note is held for 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. A half note is held for half of that. 1 and 2 and. Quarter note is 1 and. An 8 note is 1. And a 16 note's twice as fast. Okay? And, whatever you're playing music, when you play a note, you're going to do one of those note durations. Okay? And don't forget, sometimes you rest and you don't play anything for one of those note durations. So maybe you play a half note on D, 1 and then you rest for 2 and 3 and then you come back for one more half note. All right? So don't forget those note values. Not only are they how long you can hold a note for, but they're how long you can rest for also. We're going to get more into that, but that's the basic rhythm, part 1 for general music. We'll see you on the next one.